Hello. So I'm just gonna continue on with uh, a new day of analysis and I guess like going over important trading lessons and principles. But as I went over yesterday, everything looked bearish. I was looking for things to sell off, and they've started. I'm gonna start with Bitcoin as usual. Bitcoin has fallen precipitously today, which is fantastic, and so I need to go over my charts again because everything is in a different place. Indicators look different, and I need to establish my mind. Where is support, where is resistance, and has any new pattern formed from this 3-day chart? Obviously the triangle that broke down and then broke back up, but I was saying that I didn't think this was sustainable and this would break back down. And so just looking at Bitcoin, you wouldn't know that, but if you look at alts, they look very bearish. And so on this daily chart, you had attempts higher. They're kind of failing. On a 12-hour chart, we have a drop back down to the 50% retracement level and support. Let's say we break to 70. We have broken this. Price broke below this rising trend line, and very likely we might have a bounce here that then sells off down to this ascending trend line, where we might see a bounce before break. Okay. So this is support. It's these prior lows also. But yeah, there were multiple attempts to take things higher that all failed. But it seems like momentum is turning to the downside, which is fantastic. So on the 6-hour chart, MACD or volume, I don't really see anything that's helpful. 4-hour. Oh, really? But yeah, this is support, so this is where I guess you'd expect to bounce. So no adding to a short here. Okay, and then on this 2 hour, same. So next BCH. Looking ahead, I mean, looking at short term, it looks like almost mini head and shoulders of some kind, but it's not really that great. On this chart, long term head and shoulders, that's bear flagging up before that is expected. But we do have a break of support that was, I said yesterday, on this, well, I want to go through all the time frames because they all have different information that I have to then use my mind and experience to make, to analyze and make sense of, and then use that to formulate my plans. Daily, it just looks like we had this higher high, higher low, and then a failure to higher high, which is a lower high, which is projecting a lower low, bear flag, breaks from a lower low. So, and that seems to appear to be happening. Obviously, huge support there. You're likely to get a bounce there.
It's crazy. Falling. You see, we don't say rising in love.
12-hour chart.
And this goes back, as a matter of fact, to extremely fundamental things. That there is always a curious time between the fall and the creation. Taking this costly risk is the condition of there being life.
So this looks like the first salvo down, and so this at this support with Bitcoin at support, this is likely before we head lower. So perhaps I could add more on a pullback, though I think I might not, because I have a lot of size on already. On a 6-hour chart, is there anything that helpful? Nope. Except this is confirming a lower high, and now it's obviously this triangle that was barely holding on, and we have the final breakdown. And this that's the bottom, so a length of this should be where this stops. That's, I guess, close to this, but probably a little more. So, which is great for a short.
There is always a curious tie of silence between the fall and the creation. Taking this costly risk is the condition of there being life.
On a 4-hour chart. So yeah, I guess that's mostly it.
Falling in love.
Yeah, that's it for that. Moving on. And in many ways, it can feel repetitive to keep doing the same charts over and over, but that's what it is. And the more I go over charts each day, the more I reinforce, and then the more I notice little details, and the deeper my understanding gets of what's going on, so that I'm not caught off guard by things that I miss. This is SNT. I don't know what it is, but it has enough data where I can use their charts for analysis. And obviously just have this big decline starting from early January. We had, like, you know, I guess support you could say is forming here as the next level of support, though it's not that strong, and I could easily see this breaking. We did break this ascending triangle, which wasn't really strong support either, but we're approaching the next level of support, which is this low, and once this breaks, that will be support to cover or to go long if you want to go long, but I would not go long. Not a crash situation. Yeah, nothing really, just it dropped to support, and it was kind of very, each time it got up, it would sold back down, it kept getting sold down, creating a small level of resistance here before it finally broke down. So yeah, that's also very bearish. This is Qdom. execute them. We drop below very, like, I guess you could say this, these bands of there's some bands of horizontal support. First those areas. And then shorter term, this resistance, and then obviously the support. But once this support breaks, you know, it will invite more shorts. This is, and so yeah, I mean, just analyzing this on a short-term basis. Yeah, just resistance, it you know, support, and now it's bottom bouncing off support, which makes it likely that we'll drop down soon. 12-hour Bollinger Bands are closed here, which means that upside will be limited, and I do think it'll be limited because many things have broken down. So we even potentially have a small head and shoulder because this is low enough, I guess you could say, to create a neckline. And the fact that we were not able to get back to resistance is very bearish. But yeah, I mean, it looks like on a shorter term, there's even a bear flag forming after this potential head and shoulders. Here, this bear flag could be the right shoulder before that drop happens. This is resistance. Though, because of this more like a head and shoulders, I would be wary of selling that. Though I could. Just because if it's a negation, it would be very strong. That's resistance. That's sell. This is... If you really are bullish, you could buy there if it drops there. Though I think that will not hold for long. This is that. I don't, it's not a major one, but there's enough chart data again for me to use. I have this triangle it's in. Support to buy is there. Right now we're in the middle, and that's resistance. That would be the sell place. But I think that this is potentially a head and shoulders. This is a weak shoulder. If this price gets there, that could be the shoulder area, and that would be the short here if it happens. Otherwise, on a break of this and on a pullback with a stop loss there, and that would be the target, the first target. So that would be roughly 2 times the size of the stop loss, which makes it a good reward to risk ratio. Okay. Four hour, there's nothing really all that helpful. Again, there was MACD divergence indicating this was likely a top where price rose but MACD declined. Apart from that, nothing helpful right now on those indicators. This is ETP. ETP is less reliable, though. If this, because it's risen so much, it's been absurdly strong. But if that breaks, that could be a good short. We are at resistance though. There is a little. Oh, never mind. I was gonna say maybe divergence on this high compared to that one, but I don't think so, and it's probably not the best reliability with moves this small. Oh, there is a bit of divergence. Okay, which could make that a good short. Alternatively, a break below this low before pullback to sell. But I don't want to short something that's been that strong. I just want to short what's been the weakest, because that's what other people are going to use have been using as short vehicles. So I want to use what other people are using, because that will see the most shorting or selling. This is IOTA. IOTA is broken down from head and shoulders. This is IOTA. So again, we have this big triangle that's broken down, and by the way, when you do your analysis, it is important to kind of do it fresh as opposed to like rehashing, like mentally. Oh, this, so that it actually is real analysis, as opposed to rehashing, which requires more thought, but that's that will deepen understanding. And understanding of information and seeing all the information is very important. Also keep an open mind to new information, like things that I might have missed before. So there was this pop through this part of the declining trend line, but it didn't turn things bullish, and didn't turn things bullish, and now possibly there's this there's a smaller head and shoulders forming, or that's formed here from that's broken down out of this triangle. Here being resistance, but we failed to get there, and we this was the attempt higher. It all the way back down to support, which is a bit bearish, and then a lower high. Started seeing a lot of red here, and then things started heading down to a lower low, and that this is initiating at least a short-term downtrend. So this would be an actual true break. I mean, again, that's the neckline. So any approach of there, this would be the short, not here, but that would be the short. MACD and volume, I don't think there's anything all that helpful right now. This is a 4 hour. Nothing helpful here also. Tired failed, and then it seemed to start to fail because it didn't find any support here before breaking lower, and then failed here, failed again, and then another lower high here. Led to people just wanting to take it down lower, or contribute to that. Or would be a sign to me that the bulls are not strong. I don't know, 2 hour. And we're pulling back to the short close. This is Elf. Elf has a little less data, but it's not bad. It's enough to use. But we're bear flagging, and we have this very bearish. Instead of back up to the resistance, we lower hide here down to support. There might be a small bounce before it breaks lower. So that would also be a good short on a break and pull back. But when I say break and pullback, I almost don't even want to wait for a pullback just because I'm afraid of missing it, which I guess in a crash scenario could be justified, but not if I guess it depends on how low and if I use leverage. Because if I have too much leverage and it pulls back, I can be down significantly, and emotionally it'll affect my decision making. It'll make me want to hold and maybe get out and panic it out at the top.
당신이 좋아하는 건 무엇인가요? 삼성전자 페이스북에서 당신이 좋아하는 것들을 알려주세요. 삼성 노트북과 IM 스튜디오가 데칼 스티커로 만들어드립니다. 지금 데칼 이벤트에 참여하시고 썸머 아카데미의 풍성한 혜택도 만나보세요.
So we are also at support, something to keep in mind. for that to happen before break to the downside. This is Ethereum. Oh shit. We have gotten down to massive support. Holy shit. Is this that long-term trend line? Oh. This is Ethereum, so we have this big long-term trend line that defined the entire uptrend here. And this head and shoulders, which we've been bear flagging sideways, and we're likely going to break very soon. So that will be a really big deal.
Standing in the crowd, all the lights go out. Should I slow it down? Feel the pressure now. How did they know how to feel for you? I hear you calling. I can't ignore it. We'll move with the music all night long. I'm yours tonight, my love. You know I won't say goodbye, my love.
So on this 4-hour chart,
We will reach the sky.
this 12-hour chart, is there anything all that helpful? Well, no, except I think my MACD is not showing up. I don't know why. Okay. Nothing all that helpful. On a 12-hour chart.
Nothing's what it seems. I forget to breathe. You are who I need. Follow your lead. Take this moment to believe in you. I hear you calling. I can't ignore it. We'll move with the music all night long. I'm yours tonight, my love. You know I won't say goodbye, my love. No reason for you to hide. We will reach the
So on the 6-hour chart, nothing in terms of volume or activity that's helpful. Bollinger Band's not helpful, but we could have. Where's resistance? Here. This is against support. We bounced at it, so the next time we drop there, I wouldn't buy it. This next low potential low area is support. That's where the actual last bombs last time came. So yeah, I mean that's what I think the trajectory is gonna be, something like that. Or much lower. Like I would be surprised if Ethereum got all the way back here. I don't think it will. So yeah, on a 4 hour, is there anything revealing? Not really. Nope. Two-hour chart, nothing all that helpful. Again, this could also be a place to enter in a short. That would be the sell, not here, unless you're prepared to have a stop up there. And, okay, and you'd have to want to take profit, at least there, to have like a 2-to-1 reward to risk ratio. Okay. I'll do one more and then I'll wrap this video up. And then continue with in like maybe an hour. This is RCN. This isn't really that helpful. We're in this sideways channel. That's about it. Once it breaks below though, that would be great for the downside. This is OMG. Sego. We have this, it's not really a Head and Shoulders or anything, but this is support. It was broken down, and we have this falling channel, which would normally be not necessarily bullish, but a slightly rising one tends to be more bearish. But I guess you could almost say this has just been so weak, it's not even able to like make slight higher highs. And we broke this trend line, which caused, and I covered this yesterday, it caused price to drop to this next support. If this breaks, this will be next support. I wouldn't buy it, it's just so weak, but maybe to cover a little bit, that here made sense, and the next place is here. Then once this breaks, that's very likely. In the meantime, this will continue to be resistance. MACD and the volume are not giving any helpful information right now. Bollinger Band on the 12-hour also. 6-hour chart. Just resistance here. And then also there. That would be the short, and then that would be another short area. Oh shit, that got bought up quickly. I can, it's very visible, the 4-hour. Quick. And on a 2-hour. Yeah, same thing. I guess you could say there is divergence, that this is lower low, but MACD is higher than where it was before. It's not really apparent on a 4-hour chart. I guess I wouldn't take that too seriously. I mean, you could say there's also divergence here. Rising. Well, this is slowly declining, but I guess they might be so far apart. And I guess it might mean a pullback, but not a reversal. It could have been a reason to cover, but not for a reversal.
Shapes together, but it doesn't mean you're in my
Okay, that's it for that. Oh, that. This is wax. I mean, wax is just scrunched up, but it looks like it could break down very soon. Ven is not that useful, but we have broken the uptrend, though this could be like a cup and handle. This is not like a good one to short because it's been so strong, but at least it reacted off this resistance, and at least it reacted off that resistance. I think that if everything sells down low, this is also likely to get down, but it could continue to act independently. I just don't think it will. This is Zcash. Zcash is coming back to its inverse head and shoulders, or its normal head and shoulders, and this is a longer term head and shoulders with some kind of bear flag at the neckline before. I think that is most likely scenario.
Please step back, it's my style cramping. You here for long, oh no, I'm just passing. Do you wanna drink? No, thanks for
asking. On this daily chart, the head and shoulders isn't really visible, but we did react a sell-off from resistance. In this 12-hour, it's clear we had a big sell just now, and on this 4-hour, this head and shoulders is becoming more visible, and so we are approaching the sell place again, and it could go even a little earlier than that trend line because it could get a little earlier because there's this horizontal here. So if there are signs of price petering out and some red, you could use that as a short stop here. And to make that a good trade, you need to be targeting at least this to have a good 2-to-1 ratio. Having that is like a margin of safety to make sure that I'm likely to get enough on the trade, and then also having like taking in trades that have like a 70% chance of success also, and so these things make my trades more likely to make more money and more likely to succeed, having both those factors and limiting it to things that have at least those factors, so that they're very high quality trades that win and don't lose. Because if I can eliminate a lot of losing trades, my account is more likely to do this. Even if I might miss some trades, I'll also avoid a lot of that. And that's what investors like to see, so I can trade other people's money. think they'll pull back pretty strongly. EOS is really broken down through support, negating its potential head and shoulders. Obviously we're at support, but it kind of is starting to look a little less healthy for a bull. I guess not necessarily. It's still potential head and shoulders forming, though it's not really anymore because this would be like a double shoulder. I think this is kind of negating its potential head and shoulder scenario. Yeah. So that was a potential, but now if this were to turn around, it would kind of be less of a solid inverse head and shoulders, and just the way it drops so strongly to support, now we have that resistance to deal with, which is more bearish. So I hope that this resistance will hold. I think there will be sellers each time we get up there. If it breaks back through, there'll be sellers there. People are short and longs to close their longs. So we'll have to see. But certainly this is the most important long-term trend thing that needs to break before that happens. Yeah, this looks very more bearish for EOS, which is great. So I hope that continues. And this did break this trend line, and then it was straggling down before the drop. So again, this is going to turn into role reversal resistance, and so if you want to, if you do want to short here, you can. That's resistance. It would have been better short up there, but because of where Zcash is, IOTA is, they're back closer to necklines. This is likely, I think, not to get beyond here. So to add to a short, I think that would, in EOS, if I had to, this is where I would, that's roughly where I would do it. Oh, and fun is also broken down, which is great. Litecoin also is fucking fantastic. And Cardano, oh, this is awesome. Alright, I'll continue this in a little bit.